I spent a little more than a month in Europe and started off in Barcelona.
Barcelona.
With Sam. La Rambla was a really nice area with a lot of bars and shops and a lot of tourists.
What up?
I don't know why Sam took out his binoculars at this point, but whatever. Next, we went to Park Güell, which was a really nice view of Barcelona. It was quite a walk to get up to the top, and you had to pay to get into one section, which we decided not to. Mercado de la Boqueria was really nice, had a lot of tourists, but there was a lot of markets, there was a lot of things to see, tons of food, tons of groceries, tons of fruit, tons of people, a lot of hustle and bustle, a really nice place to see. And right off Las Ramblas. After Barcelona, we decided to go to Croatia, and we ended up in a city called Zagreb. A really cool market, really cool place. Totally different than Barcelona in its own way. Definitely recommend. We ended up going to some modern art museum. Wasn't the biggest fan, but it was interesting for them. This is called cevapi, and it's like a burger, but instead of having a hamburger, the hamburger meat is divided into little tiny sausages. The Museum of Broken Relationships was fun and all, but the craziest time I had in all of Croatia was the England versus Croatia game in the main city square, and it was just amazing to see and be a part of, and it was once in a lifetime opportunity. It was crazy.
Jesús.
The energy from the crowd was anything like I've ever seen. This is a country with around 4 million people making it to the World Cup, the biggest sports game in the world. It's pretty intense. After they won the game, it went into celebration, and literally the city square was already full, and there were thousands upon thousands of people walking from all directions for about 30 minutes straight. Tons and tons of people. They just beat England, and me and Sam wanted to act as Croatian as possible so nobody confused us for being English. So we started cheering on and wearing our gear and even waving the Croatian flag. Next, we arrived to this place called Hvar. Tons of partying, but also tons of places to just relax and chill on the beach. It was a really nice island. Honestly, Hvar had some of the nicest waters I've ever seen and some of the nicest sunsets I've ever seen, and it was just really relaxing place to be.
Yeah, Hvar.
Next, we ended up going to Split. So these guys were representing France in Croatia right before the game, and so I decided to hop in, rep Croatia, and beat them. We beat them 3-0, me and the little kid. So this was the final Cup World game versus France, which unfortunately they lost, but they had a lot of pride in Split. Where I watched it wasn't so crazy, but what happens afterwards was lit. People were extremely proud of their country that they even made it to the World Cup, and so they started burning tires, lighting things on fire, throwing bottles in the air. It was pretty cool, maybe a little dangerous, but pretty cool. So we arrived to Rome and I had to check out the pizza, I had to check out the gelato. Italy's known for their food, so I had to try some. So I ended up going on this free tour. I totally recommend it. I've done it in many, many cities. They're fun, they're free, there's nothing to lose. So all throughout Rome, there are these like fountains that you can fill up your water bottle, and if you clog them, you can use it as a drinking fountain. They're free, interesting, and they keep you hydrated. So in certain parts of Rome, there are pizza places that you can look at the type of pizza they already have, pick your size of slice, they weigh it, and then they give it to you. They charge you by the weight. The Vatican was by far the nicest church and museum I've ever seen in my life. It felt endless. I think I could go back there for 3 days straight and not see all the art. Even the walls, the ceilings, everything was just so artistic and detailed.
The field used for horse and chariot races with that obelisk in the middle.
So afterwards, I ended up going to Prague. Once I saw this guy with a Hawaiian shirt from the United States, I was like, this guy's chill. I'm gonna kick it with him the whole day. We walked to the top and it felt like it literally took 10 minutes walking up a spiral staircase, but what we saw at the top was probably in the top 5 views I've ever seen in my life. Prague is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen.
Yeah, what an amazing city, yeah.
In Prague, I met up with a bunch of Americans, and basically we wanted meat, and so we went to a place that you buy the meat there and then they cook it for you. There was this drink named after me, so I had to buy it, obviously.
This is ridiculous. Damn.
This is one of the largest markets in Budapest. It was completely indoors, had vegetables, meat, souvenirs, clothing, had a bunch of different things, and it had a lot of culture to show, really. There are a lot of hot springs and pools in Budapest. They're really well known for that. I wasn't super impressed. And then I also had this thing called the Langos, and I was not impressed by that either. Probably because I don't like sour cream, but I just didn't like it. Worth trying though. Something I didn't know about this city is that the river actually used to divide two cities, and the two cities were Buda, and the other city was Pest, and they came together to create Budapest. If you thought the view during the day was really nice, at night it was amazing, and the whole place was lit up, and we were on the boat and you could easily see it. Great view.
Yeah, gold. A lot of gold. A lot of marble too. Krakow, Poland.
Krakow was really interesting as it had a main square, and there was actually a guy that rings a bell 24 hours a day, once on that hour. It was pretty intense to see that, and the only time they've ever missed it in the history of 100 and something years is when somebody had a heart attack. When I went to Auschwitz, I know my family died there, but there were certain things I didn't know. It's really an extermination camp rather than a concentration camp because they just killed people flat out. Most of them didn't even work. But on top of that, one disgusting thing was that when I went to a room and there were just a bunch of hair there, and it was ponytails of hair, thousands upon thousands of people's hair, and they used that hair to make socks and other clothing items, and that just disgusted me that people would wear socks made of executed people's hair. Crazy.
Shish kebab. There.
stayed at my friend Emily's, and she gave me a list of things to do and made me breakfast. It was an amazing experience.
Musito.
I went to watch the Royal Palace do something that they do almost every day. It really wasn't that interesting, and it was basically a tourist trap. I wouldn't recommend it. I went to this really high-end grocery slash food, whatever store. They had chocolates, groceries, everything. It was called Fortnum and Mason. It was definitely cool looking at it. I took a tour of Parliament, and I had to just see it myself. It was kind of cool that I was able to enter it and had no problems. This is Covent Gardens, and I have no problem with police, but this undercover guy arrested me for absolutely no reason at all. I see you, bro. This Camden area is very hip, very cool, a lot of cool shops to see, a lot of young people, a lot of great places to eat. It's probably one of my favorite places of all. London reminds me of like London's maybe Venice Beach or something like that. This National History Museum was ridiculously big. I did not see it all. I went in there thinking I would spend 2 hours, and I accidentally spent 4, and I could have spent at least 10 more.
Come on.
Honestly, I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just trying to get a picture in, but whatever. Thanks, Europe. I'll be back sometime soon.